A sudden crash of gravel, a roaring engine cutting through the quiet evening, and a little girl standing under a flickering street lamp with tears she refused to let fall. That was the moment everything changed. 8-year-old Emily Carter pressed her small hands against the handlebars of the stranger's motorcycle, her voice trembling with a fear far too big for her tiny frame as she whispered the words that froze him in place. "Please don't leave yet." Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in unexpected second chances, and in the power of human connection, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from, because this story might just remind someone that hope can arrive on two wheels when you least expect it. Emily had spent most of her life learning how to be brave in silence. Her mother, Claire, worked 2 jobs and came home exhausted, fighting to hold their small world together after Emily's father walked out without a goodbye. Their neighborhood was rough, their home small and aging, and every day felt like another test life demanded she pass. Emily used to wait by the porch for her father, long after her mother told her he wouldn't come back, but over time she stopped waiting, until that night she met the biker. She wasn't searching for him, she wasn't even supposed to be outside. But something pulled her out into the chilly dusk, something like a whisper of instinct telling her that someone was coming who wasn't supposed to matter but somehow would. The biker, a rugged man with weary eyes named Jacob Reed, had been drifting through towns like a ghost ever since losing his younger sister in a tragic accident he never forgave himself for. He didn't belong anywhere and didn't intend to. His life had become a long, restless road, stopping nowhere long enough to build anything and leaving before attachments could grow roots. But that night, when he nearly skidded to avoid the stray cat Emily had stepped out to protect, he found himself face to face with a child whose innocence cracked straight through the hardened shell he had carried for years. The moment their eyes met, Jacob sensed something, an unspoken ache, a quiet plea, a weight far too heavy for a child. He told her he'd be going, that everything was all right, but Emily shook her head as if the thought terrified her. She didn't explain why she needed him to stay, she didn't even know. All she knew was that the stranger on the motorcycle felt safe, like someone who wouldn't walk away without at least listening. So Jacob said he'd stay a moment longer, expecting nothing. Yet that moment became more. Over the next hours, Jacob learned about Emily's little world, the peeling paint on their porch, the worn-out shoes she still wore proudly, the invisible loneliness she tried to hide for her mother's sake. Emily had no trouble talking to him, perhaps because she sensed something in Jacob, a sadness she instantly understood, the way children sometimes understand things adults can't explain. She sensed he needed someone, too. While she fed the stray cat she'd saved, she told him how she wished for someone to show her how to fix the broken bike she used to love riding, or how she sometimes drew imaginary places she hoped to visit when life got better. There was no pity in Jacob's heart, only a growing ache that felt oddly like purpose awakening. When Claire returned home and found her daughter sitting with a tattooed biker she'd never seen before, panic surged through her. But before she could shout, Jacob rose slowly, respectfully, explaining everything. His words were calm, sincere, carrying a gentleness that surprised even him. Claire didn't fully trust him, but she saw the way Emily's small hand clung to his sleeve, the way her daughter's eyes glimmered with a hope she hadn't seen in years. Something in Claire softened, not into trust, but into cautious acceptance. In the days that followed, Jacob returned. Not because he had to, but because Emily's simple joy, the stray cat's quiet companionship, and Claire's determined resilience anchored him in a way he'd almost forgotten was possible. He fixed Emily's broken bike, showing her how every little piece connected, explaining how even things that seemed broken could work again if someone cared enough to repair them. Emily watched him like he was crafting magic. Claire watched him like she was waiting for the moment he would disappear, yet every day he came back, Jacob began to find himself opening up in small pieces. Emily learned he once had a little sister who loved bikes, too, one he couldn't save. Claire saw the shadows behind his silence, but instead of questioning, she simply offered him warm meals and space to breathe. The three of them slowly built something fragile but real, connection without labels, a quiet bond built on shared pain and unexpected comfort. Then one morning, Jacob didn't show up. Emily waited with her fixed bike leaning beside her. Claire kept glancing at the window, trying not to show concern. Hours passed, then a day, then two. Emily's heart sank in that familiar way she hated, the same sinking she felt the night her father never returned. She whispered to Claire, asking if maybe she had scared Jacob away, but Claire held her tight, telling her that sometimes people disappear for reasons that have nothing to do with us. But even Claire didn't believe her own words. On the third night, as rain hammered the streets and Emily sat on the steps hugging her knees, a familiar engine roared through the storm. Emily looked up, hope exploding in her chest, and there he was, Jacob, soaked, exhausted, and carrying a small, worn box. He told them he had ridden to the next town over to face the one place he'd been running from, the memorial site for his sister. He had left her a promise years ago, that if he ever found a reason to keep living fully again, he'd bring something of hers to someone who deserved her spirit. Inside the box was a tiny silver locket his sister once cherished, and he placed it in Emily's shaking hands, telling her she reminded him of the courage he once saw in his sister, the courage he thought had died with her. Emily clutched the locket like a treasure, and Claire understood in that moment that Jacob wasn't just passing through, he was finding his way back to life through them. She invited him inside out of the rain, and he accepted with a softness that made the moment feel sacred. That night, the three of them sat around the kitchen table, sharing stories, warmth, and something that finally felt like family. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who might need hope today, and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss moments like this again. And before we reach the end, please comment below what moment in this story moved you the most. Jacob didn't replace the father who left, nor the sister he lost, but he became something else, something real, something healing. Emily found the adult who stayed. Claire found support she no longer had to beg for. And Jacob, for the first time in years, found a home he didn't want to ride away from. Sometimes life brings us the people we need in the most unexpected ways, a little girl who begged a biker not to leave yet, and a biker who discovered that staying was exactly what he needed to finally feel whole again.